Greetings, it's Ian from RTO here. Welcome to the Sophomore Drome. 2 albums go in, one only comes out. Which will it be this week? We've got a bit of a new wave of British heavy metal clash this week. We have got Killers from Iron Maiden and Wheels of Steel from Saxon. 2 very competitive bands back in 1981. So first band today is Iron Maiden, and Killers is the second album that was released in February of 1981. It was the first album that Adrian Smith appeared on, and it was the last with the late Paul Di'Anno. So playing on here we've got Paul Di'Anno on vocals, Dave Murray on guitars, Adrian Smith on guitars, Steve Harris on the bass, and Clive Burr on drums. So Killers opens up with that little instrumental, the brilliant little Ides of March. I like this. Clive's drumming is brilliant. You got some great guitar work from both Adrian and Dave on that, as ever. When that finishes, that goes straight into the killer Rothschild. I still think it's one of Steve Harris's best bass lines ever. It's a great track. They still play it to this day. It's an absolutely killer track. Then we get another classic, Murders in the Rue Morgue. Just classic thing. The guitar solo. This is brilliant. Paul's vocals are absolutely on fire, and I love the drumming of Clive on this. Excellent track. Then we get Another Life. It's okay. It's not one of my particular favourite tracks on here. It's solid. Then we have another instrumental, and it's probably my favourite instrumental by Iron Maiden, and it's Genghis Khan. I love that real chunky sound they get, and the guitar solos on this are brilliant from Adrian and Dave. Innocent Exile. Some great bass line, slappy bass line from Steve on this. I think it's a great vocal from Paul Di'Anno on that one. And my favourite track on here is the title track, Killers. One of the great tracks of this era. It starts off with that great bass line from Steve, the rolling bass line. In come the guitars. It's just one of the best performances on vocals for Paul Di'Anno. Prodigal Son. It's one of them tracks. It's a bit acousticy, and it doesn't. It's nice, but it doesn't really fit on the album. Purgatory. It's quite punky in this. It's got a lot of Iron Maiden in the early days had a lot of little punk bits in their stuff, so it's a really good track. And then we get the classic Drifter. Probably one of the best singing moments on the album. Now, this album, for me, it's just one of the great albums of 81. I love playing this album still to the day. Well, that's all right, me thinking, what are the critics? Well, to be quite honest, there's not been much written about it. But we have got some scores. All Music gave it a 4. Collector's Guide to Heavy Metal, 9 out of 10. Pitchfork, 7.3. Sputnik, 5. The Daily Volt, A-. How did it do in the charts? Well, it got to number 12 here in the UK, number 78 in America, but was number 1 on the French album chart. We got to number 20 in Australia. Certifications, we did all right. Gold here in the UK and the States, Sweden, Japan and Germany. 3 times gold in France and platinum in Canada, but that's at only 100,000. So let's have a look at the nuts and bolts of this one. Okay, song quality. Got some killer tracks on this. Killers itself, Murders in the Rue Morgue, Rothschild, Drifter. So I'll give that a 4 out of 5. Production, great production. It's Martin Birch. Now, if he'd have been available for the debut album, I think that would have been a killer album as well. But he was doing other things, so having Martin Birch on board really did change their sound. So I'm going to give that a 5 out of 5. Reception. Even though we got to number 12 in the UK, they were still on the up. They were still finding their feet. I mean, but the gold discs and that is super response as well. So I'm going to give that a 4 out of 5. Cover design. Well, it's a classic, isn't it? Derek Riggs at his best. It's a brilliant cover. Very iconic. You see it on t-shirts. So I'm going to give that a 5. So for Killers by Iron Maiden gives us a grand total of 18 out of 20. So let's move on to the second album today. This also came out in 1981, and it's the second album. It was the first of 2 albums that year by Saxon, and it's Wheels of Steel. Playing on here is, of course, Biff Byford on the vocals, Graham Oliver on guitars, Paul Quinn on guitars, Steve Dawson on the bass, and Pete Gill on the drums. Track 1, the classic Motorcycle Man. You have to play this through the headphones. It's absolutely amazing through the headphones. It's a great thing. Pete Gill's drumming is super on this. The ever-present bass line of Steve Dawson is a killer opening track to this album. Then we go into Stand Up and Be Counted. The riffs from Graham and Paul are terrific. Biff's on fire. Once again, Steve Dawson, that great bass line. What a great bass player. Then we have a single that was on this album, 747 Strangers in the Night. Absolute classics of Saxon song. Very radio friendly, but what an opening riff and solo. Absolutely top draw from Saxon. Then what do you have to say about Wheels of Steel itself? It's the dog. It's the dog's doo-doos. I love that track. Singing that, well, when the crowd participation, everyone loves that track. It's just got a great hook riff, brilliant track. Freeway Mad, belting rocker, proper heavy metal, real heavy stuff. See the light shining, that opening riff, the twin guitars of Paul and Graham absolutely kills it. Street Fighting Gang, full of lovely licks and bits of guitar from Paul and Graham. The solid drums of Pete Gill, just brilliant. Susie Hold On, another great track, dominated by Steve Dawson's bass line. Machine Gun, the shredding and the power of those riffs are brilliant. It's a great heavy track to end the album. I love this album as well. I'm a huge Saxon fan, and this is up there with the greatest heavy metal albums in me. But that's what I think. So what did the critics think? Well, the album was very positive received from the critics, and it is today regarded as a classic genre-defining metal album. Eduardo Revaldia of AllMusic lists the album as a top in the heap of the essential Saxon albums, and pretty much hand in hand with its immediate successor Strong Are the Law and Denim and Leather. Them 3 albums would just directed this band into super stages. Martin Popoff says it's a qualified classic and one of really 2 of 3 of the new wave of British heavy metal. Building Box So what were the ratings on this? All Music gave it a 5-star. Collector's Guide to Heavy Metal 8 out of 10. Sputnik Music gave it a 5 out of 5. Charts. Swedish number 36. UK number 5. And then when it was re-released, it did well in America. Gold record here in the UK. So let's have a look at the nuts and bolts of this one. Song quality, brilliant songs. These are all now staple classics in the Saxon catalogue. So I'm going to give this a 5 out of 5. Production, at the time I think they were just a little bit better than Iron Maiden, and I'm going to give that a 5 out of 5. Reception went down well. They were outselling Iron Maiden at this time. I do remember that because it was all in the press. So top 10, second album, top 10 album, gold certificate, 5 out of 5. Cover design, the classic wings, does what it says on the tin, another 5. So it's all round a 20 out of 20 for Wheels of Steel, because I know this album for me is just terrific. So we have got a clear winner today. You can't beat 20 out of 20. Now I'm going to go with Saxon today, because I think at that time Saxon had found their feet. It took the Number of the Beast for Iron Maiden to really crack forwards, but when Bruce came in, so I mean, Saxon had that great run from this album, Strong Out of the Law and Denim and Leather. They were just 3 big metal albums of that period. So I'm going to go with Wheels of Steel as well, even as it says in the numbers. Okay, how do you vote? Well, if you go to the post section on the chain, on the page, the old community page, you'll find a poll there, and then there will be a poll also tonight in the live stream. So good luck with this one, everyone, and we'll see who wins this one. Okay, coming up next, if my voice holds on, is Pick and Mix. And this week it's in the camera's view, and we're going to look at a classic Mike Oldfield concert from the 70s, where he performed Incantations and Tubular Bells, and it's called Exposed. So join me for that. Bye for now.